the Bronx is definitely not the safest place to be.
I was robbed at gunpoint.
I was robbed too. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Elevate. My name is Jessica.
My name is Darwin.
And what's today's topic, babe?
Today we talk about what was growing up in the hood like.
Ooh.
I don't know if y'all know, but she a little hood chick.
I can't deal with it. Oh my God, no, don't put it that way. Well, yeah, we did grow up in the hood. We're not super far from the hood, you guys, but we have kind of moved on.
Yeah.
From
that. Not fully though, because I still go in pretty much every day.
Of course. We still have people there. Like we love to go there anyways.
We don't love to go to the hood.
We have people that we love in the hood.
Yeah, we have people that we love, not that we love going to the hood.
You're right. But still, this everything about the hood isn't bad. So let's not even
name me one good thing besides friends and family.
Besides friends and family?
Let's not make this episode too long while she sits here and think about
No, I just can't think of something off the top of my head, but
what was like, do you feel like when people say like, oh, growing up in the hood, is it fake? Or do you think like, nah, there's definitely like an experience you live that some people will never.
Of course, there's a different experience than people who've never been in the hood. Like, it's the hood, like where you're around everything. I feel like you're exposed to so many things.
There's levels of the hood in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. There's like safer spaces, and then there's spaces where it's the real deal.
The real hood. Extra O's.
Yeah. But overall, even if you're in the good area, like you're surrounded by,
But I feel like even though you grew up in the hood, you were still, like, you wasn't a street girl.
No.
So,
I mean, just because you grow up in the hood does not mean that you're a street person. I mean, there's so many good, humble people that live in the hood, that just because of circumstances in life, that's just where they end up, and that doesn't make them bad people. It's just that the hood is the place where, poverty is more prevalent, where people who can't really take care of themselves reside. And so because they don't have the resources to like really take care of themselves and their families, sometimes they end up doing things that they're not supposed to. That's what happens when poverty, is prevalent. Crime is very common, and all these things happen less in richer neighborhoods because they have less reasons to do these things.
Yeah. I feel like my experience in the hood was different from yours, though.
You think so? In what way?
Well, I feel like it was different because I was actually always outside. We outside. And you was kind of, your mom kind of didn't give you that freedom.
Oh, no, not at all. I had no type of freedom except for when I was in high school, to and from school. That was like pretty much it.
So like we pretty much, I mean, especially in the summertime, it was just like you wake up out to the schoolyard and whatever goes for the day, it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were like outside?
All day.
Really?
All day. Until my mom called me like, yo, you're not coming home tonight? And as I got older, like once you hit like that, for me, it was like 15, 16 that I felt like I was an adult. Or like my curfew got extended, even though I didn't have like a curfew, especially on like Friday, Saturday nights. It was.
15. I was still a child. I mean, I was a teenager. I acted like a teenager, but I definitely was not hanging out in the streets at 15. Like, that was a no.
It's crazy because when I was a teenager, I would say like preteen, like 13, 14, 15, when we just like started hanging out outside, and the dudes from the block, that the OGs, the gangsters, they would be like in a schoolyard, like doing their drug sales and smoking. And like we would literally just be playing while there would be like 40, 50 dudes just like smoking weed, drinking, and we're just like there. Like,
and this is why my mom didn't let me out the house. I could understand. I mean, it definitely is a different perspective. We grew up in the same hood, but it was definitely a different experience, I guess, because you're a boy, or you were a boy then, you know. Yeah. And I, as a girl, you know, it's like, no, there was no chance. Like, my mom was not taking that chance with me. It was like, shield, you know, her. At the end of the day, it's not like anybody wants to really be in that environment. So, you know, you try to protect your children as much as possible. But I do know that for the boys, it was a much different experience sometimes, you know. And parents were a little bit more like relaxed about certain rules with you guys.
And fun fact, like, I know some people might know this, but like me and Jessica, that sounds weird me saying Jessica, right? We actually did not live far from each other.
No.
And we did not meet through like being in the hood. It was like a whole go back to our other videos and we show how we met.
Yeah, we met through mutual friends in
a school that was across the Bronx.
Yeah, totally a different part of the town, which was not the town that we grew up in. But yeah, but that's because I was never outside. I was never really hanging out. So it was just pure business. Like, I would just go to the supermarket with my mom sometimes, help her out. I would go to school. If I had like dance class, I would go to dance class. But it was like to class and home. Like, there was no hanging out. Until, you know, I was like around 17, 18 years old, and I graduated high school, and yeah, everything changed. But that's different.
I fucked her up. No. And I remember did you ever like hang out in front of your building or nothing like that?
I did, but it was like with my mom or with neighbors that, like, adults that my mom like trusted. So yeah, I do remember those days. Like, so in the hood, right? Everybody is in a building, obviously. Nobody really owns a home. So in the summertime, I remember so vividly where we would like go outside of our building, and from I think like the second or third floor, they would like bring down like the water hose. And we would get wet in front of the building. If not that, like maybe like a block down, there would be like a fire hydrant, and they would open up the pump, right?
Let me ask you a question. Do you know how they open a fire hydrant?
I don't know how to. No, I never did.
No, I know you don't know how to, but have you ever seen it done?
Maybe, but I don't remember.
So what they used to do is, so you know, like the back of a speaker, it has a magnet because that's how the frequencies, right? Okay. So people will look for speakers and they will break all the magnets, right? And then they will stack them up because the fire hydrant, have you ever spun it and it just keeps spinning? Mm-hmm. So it has this thing where the magnet, you put it on top, it lifts up whatever device is inside. And then it's called the monkey wrench. Then you're able to open it because it lifts like that safety lock. And that was the key because obviously the only people that have it is the fire department. They have a special tool. So the hack was to do that, to be able to get it open. Wow.
So we technically weren't supposed to open them, right?
No, of course not, yeah.
But it happens all over.
Yeah.
Like all over. If it's like really hot, you will see all the fire hydrants like just open.
So what they will do is they will put like a safety cap because the issue was like we will open it with so much pressure.
Right.
That, you know, people will get hurt, obviously.
Yeah, that water will come out with so much pressure it would push you.
Yeah. So they put like the safety cap with the little like sprinkle. Yeah. And that's how they would leave it open if it got too hot. But if they saw that the pump was running for days and it was just like pressure, they would come and close it. And then we'll just reopen it.
Of course, that's like wasted water.
Yeah.
Like a lot of wasted water.
You'll go down blocks and it'll just be like flooded all the way down there.
It's crazy. But you know what? This is what made our days happy. You know, like it was just exciting. Like the summertime is only 2 months and everybody just... In the hood, everybody just comes outside. Yeah. When it's summertime, everybody's tired of being in the apartments. And everybody just comes outside. And it's like their moment to like vent and enjoy life. And it may seem like ratchet to people, you know, like they're sitting in front of the building and it could get a little, you know, out of hand, or maybe depending on what activity is going on in front of the building, it could be a little bit frustrating for the people that don't want to engage in inappropriate activities or illegal activities. But a lot of the times it's just a way of people like getting together, not having to spend any money, and just blasting their music in front of their building it's a way to
I mean, you have to enjoy it, because at the end of the day, like, we're surrounded by buildings. So it's like, it's not like we can say like, I mean, yeah, there's parks, but like, who's going to go travel to a park for like on a daily basis? Like, you can't just walk there. So people just be like,
and a lot of the people in these neighborhoods are really stressed out either because of money, you know, their jobs, you know, they aren't really happy with their lifestyle, or maybe they're just, you know, content with or gotten used to their situation. And this is just what they do to enjoy their days and their life. Like, it is what it is kind of thing, you know?
And to think about, like, there's no memories of that, right? Besides the ones you hold, because there was no social media. Like, nobody had a phone. So, like, we can be saying it. If somebody could be listening, like, nah, that's not true. But, like, I could vividly remember the times that we've been in a pump, and they're like, it probably sounds so weird to somebody who probably doesn't even see a fire hydrant on their block.
Yeah.
And to us, it's like,
that was our pool.
Like, I remember each corner or each block, like, how that hydrant would be.
Every summer.
Yeah.
Every summer. And that was the vibe for the summer. And it's not the hood if you don't hear music blasting everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, the music everywhere. What is something, like, now that we technically aren't really in a hood like that, we're in a fancier, you know, building or whatever. Do you miss the sound or the music from your neighbors? Because we don't hear that here at all. Yeah. Like, sometimes we hear a little music from our next door neighbor, but it's nothing compared to what we would hear in our old building. Like, our old building, the walls would shake.
Yeah, like, so, like, because we're in a position where we came from, this word is going to come up a lot, was the hood. So when we came here and we saw, like, the rules, you know, this is a big step up from where we was at. You know, the rules was like no loud music. So we was like, okay, that's so like now when we hear something, we're like, is that okay? Not that we're complaining or anything.
Right, no, it doesn't bother us at all.
So it's just like, oh shit, we got like neighbors that actually live there.
They listen to music. Oh my God.
So it's like kind of weird. And we're like, should we play music? And we're like, nah, we don't want to get in trouble. Right.
And we do, but we're not vibrating.
Yeah, but we like play it from like a little Bluetooth speaker or our TV, which compared to before was like, has sound system and speakers.
Ooh, there was a time where Babe was just reckless.
It was crazy. I had a club in my house, literally.
Yes, those were times. And our upstairs neighbor where we used to live, almost every weekend, especially during the summertime, he had like a get together, or he was like DJing for like a platform, and it would be 12 o'clock in the nighttime, and I could hear the music upstairs clearly in my apartment. And it didn't bother me because we're music people. Like, that doesn't really bother us.
But he would complain about me. Remember that towards the end? I'm like, you throw parties on a Monday.
No, but I think it was another person.
That was him. I was told by the super. Yeah.
Okay. That makes no sense. But yeah, like, that stuff doesn't bother us because obviously we grew up around it. We grew up around a lot of noise, trains in the city. And, you know, like, when I hear people like complain about stuff like that, or about the bare minimum thing, you know, you hear a couple of footsteps and you want to come knock on your upstairs neighbor because you hear a couple of footsteps. It's obnoxious to me, because coming from where we come from, it's like you learn to like cancel noise.
Yeah.
You learn to just like live with it, and it's cool. Like, it doesn't really bother
us. Like, if you was to go back to our other videos, I'm pretty sure you will always hear like a police siren in the background.
Yeah.
We always used to, or ambulance. And like here,
You don't really.
You can count. We've been here for almost a year, and you can count the times we heard like a police siren.
Yeah, I think the windows are a little bit more soundproof though here.
Nah, there's no cops passing around here. And we live by a highway too, so.
Yeah. What else? What else do you like?
I was having a conversation with, I think it was Royland, that I was walking. I was in the hood. I still go to the barbershop over there. And I was walking and there was like a guy. He was, I don't know if he was arguing on the phone or he was on drugs or whatever it was. But I think he was definitely on drugs because there was nobody next to him. He was like, "Coño, vamos a pelear. Like, let's fight right now." Mind you, he's like talking to himself. So like Royland, that he also moved out of here, he was cracking up because it's funny because you don't hear that over here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's crazy that there's people that never grow up like this or will never see this. Like obviously, if you're super wealthy, you really don't know what nothing like this is. But even if like when we went to Florida, to Davenport, that little gated community, if you're born into that, you will never know what this is. Like, it will sound like it's fake.
Yeah. Or, but sometimes also, because if they just watch the news, I remember being, I was like in an exchange program with my high school. So, we got to exchange positions with like kids from Colorado, and they got to experience like what life was like here in the Bronx, in a school from the Bronx. And we got to experience what it was like a school in Colorado with like a lot of resources. So we got to see like the differences in life. And a lot of the parents from over there, it was 2 classes, if I'm not mistaken, 2 full classes. And a lot of the parents from over there were afraid to send their kids over here. Like, they did not. Like, it was a full classroom from the Bronx who went to Colorado. But it was when it was their turn to come over here, literally, it was like about 9, 10 of them that came, because their parents were so afraid to let them come. And it's because all they hear in the news, Bronx? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, in their mind, bullets are just flying all day long,
Well, let me ask you a question. If you lived in Colorado right now and they told you your child had to come over here,
I understand.
Would you send them?
I probably not. If I'm real, probably not, because if you, again, are just constantly listening to the news, every news that comes out of here from the Bronx has a very, very, very bad reputation. Like, I understand. Yeah. I understand their fear, especially if they've never been over here. Like, they didn't know what kind of danger their kids were coming to, like what kind of zone. Like, it's tough, It's like, it has nothing to do with like discriminating. It's just the facts. It's just what it is. And obviously, the Bronx is definitely not the safest place to be.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not like what some people picture either. I lived in the Bronx for years, and I did have an incident. That's for another day, but I'm fine. Like, I'm here. So many of us grew up in the Bronx, and some of us have never really dealt with anything. I've never been shot, so it's not like that. If you stay out of the way and do the right things and stay out of trouble, you will most likely be okay.
I was robbed at gunpoint for a sidekick. You remember the sidekick?
Really?
Yeah.
I was robbed for a sidekick too, but we
was on the phone.
Yeah, that's right. So I just
remember you screaming and hearing it at the distance, like,
yep.
Because I think he snatched it, right? He snatched it.
He did. At that time, I was around 18, 19 years old, and I was working at a liquor store. Now that I think about it, I was like, I understand my mom so much now. Because my mom, she would always be afraid of me going to places. But, after I turned 18, it was like, I started working at 17 because I didn't really want to be dependent on my parents. So, obviously, I started working at these local retail stores, Fordham Road, which is Candela. But my mom let me be free. She let me work and send, she let me choose where I would work. She didn't really mess around with that stuff. So now that I think about it, if I was my mom back then, I would have not allowed my daughter to work in the liquor store, especially on Webster and Fordham, because at that time I was around, again, 18, 19 years old. I worked at the liquor store like Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And on Fridays, of course, it's Friday. They would close like at 12 a.m. Saturday, again, 12 a.m. I would be coming out of this liquor store at almost 1 o'clock in the morning by myself. And so that's what happened that day. I was coming out of the liquor store on Webster Avenue, and I was walking home. And on Grand Concourse, a broad avenue, not even like freaking Creston, or one of these little streets, on the Grand Concourse, I'm on the phone talking with Mr. over here, right? Because he's keeping me company right on the phone. And I'm just walking, and somebody just from behind me, snatched my phone. I was so upset.
I think when you got home, you called me from your mom's phone or something like that.
Was I like crying still? Because I was so upset and furious. I was furious. And I remember clearly, like, I'd never forget it. Like, I was walking on the Grand Concourse. I had a cup from McDonald's. It was like a soda or something. I was drinking something. And as soon as I got inside the building, I was so upset because, I don't know, my mom wasn't opening the door. And I was just so, agitated that I threw the cup of whatever I had in my hand, right? And I made a mess in front of the building, because you work so hard, I would never rob a person. I would never do that. My mom raised me, to have values, to never do those type of things, and to be working and be coming from work that late in the night and be robbed for something you work so hard to get. Like, when you're in the hood, something as simple as a phone is something that you struggle to get.
Yeah, especially back then.
A Sidekick was something that was,
treasure.
Like the latest iPhone,
Like the Sidekick and the Razor, the Nextel, that was all
Right, and so I was I was just so furious. I just remember feeling so furious and helpless, because it's what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna fight this guy. It was a guy too. It's a losing battle. So I just kept moving, I was just, after the fact, I was just thankful that nothing really happened to me and that he didn't hurt me.
Well, the best thing he did was just grab it and run, because there was no conflict or anything.
Right. So I was just thankful for that. But it's still very infuriating, when you're in that situation and you struggle to get your things and then you're robbed for it. It just feels very, at any point in life, not just if you live in the hood, at any point in life.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So you were robbed at gunpoint? I didn't know that. You never said that to me.
I didn't. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
It was for a Sidekick too. Fucking give it to him. I'm still here. Somebody else.
Oh my God, God forbid. Wow, where was this?
It was on the block on Morris. It was me and Danny.
In the nighttime, I'm guessing?
It wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was broad that daylight too. And it's so funny because...
How old were you?
Probably 15, 16 maybe.
Wow.
Whenever sidekicks were popping. And the funniest part was, I don't know, I know it was early. I don't know if it was early in the morning or the afternoon. But, the block always had people there. And we was known there. That day there was just nobody.
Perfect time to get y'all.
Literally. But
that sucks.
Another crazy thing that I feel too that people don't understand in the hood is the type of food choices there is.
Yeah.
What would you eat the most?
I didn't really have extremely bad eating habits because I had my mom who was a stay-at-home mom. She babysat. That's what so she was with us all the time. So I was lucky enough in that regard that she didn't have to leave the house and we had to figure it out.
Yeah. And she's not too fond of outside food anyway.
No,
so
she's never been. So she was very I was always eating house food. a nice cooked meal, rice, beans, chicken, very basic stuff. But I wasn't really eating a lot of junk until I was working. That's when, you're outside, you're working, and it's like, what are my choices? McDonald's, Burger King, pizza?
Nah, for us, it might. We have McDonald's not far, but Kenny Fried Chicken. I'm gonna give you the list right now of what was the go-tos.
Okay.
So obviously, if it was in the morning, bacon and cheese.
Oh yeah, I had that a lot.
If you was broke though, you had to get a butter roll with a hot chocolate because
that was the cheapest.
It was 50 cent. So you had $1, you get that.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there was some delis that had, it's funny, for $1, they used to sell you a ham and cheese sandwich. But it was like the thinnest slice of ham and thinnest slice of American cheese. And then they'll cut it like a diamond. You remember the sandwiches? And then they'll roll it up.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like a toast. And that one was $1. So if you had $2, you would ball it. In the winter with a hot chocolate, ooh.
That's how I like my sandwiches anyways. I like them nice and thin.
Nah, them shit was good. And then you had Kenny Fried Chicken, which you either like the chicken breast or the fries or the burgers or the chicken sandwich.
No, what is it?
The cheese fries were...
That's what is it that I like that I used to eat from there? Remember
the Italian cheeseburger?
Italian cheeseburger. I can't do that anymore. I'm sorry, I can't. No, I can't.
That's like a Italian sandwich with burger patties and fries and cheese
inside. Yeah,
but this is not like a 5-star restaurant. This is like Kenny's Fried Chicken. I don't know if you know what this is, but.
Yeah,
it's just like
and if you
store.
go in there, I mean, I'm pretty sure that anybody who's never lived that lifestyle, like the hood lifestyle, they would walk in there and they'd be like, "Who would dare eat in here?" Because it just feels so. Some of them feel so dirty, when you walk in. It wasn't until I got a little older, like more like in my 20s, and I started to experience life outside.
You was more
the Bronx.
You will still eat them, but you will be selective as to which one you would eat from.
Yeah, because you start to overthink everything.
But the Chinese store, dumb shit. I can't eat Chinese food no more. I mean, unless I go to like a hibachi place or something like that, because I got that was food poisoning that I got that time. That shit was crazy. But I mean, back then it was.
That was
wings, pork fried rice,
like everything,
lo mein, Chinese, all the egg rolls,
everything, and thinking about, oh my God, all that grasa that they cook with, like
and
the way they cook is so unhealthy.
And for drinks, it was the Tropical Fantasy, the 50-cent sodas, the Arizonas that you was like $1 and you got like a fucking gallon of juice.
Sugar Central.
I used to eat that shit all day.
Sugar Central. Oh my God. But again, we did it and we didn't think about those things at all. We were just thinking this is good. I'm hungry. And for me, like when I got to eat those things, it was more like I'm tired of my mom's cooking. Like I want to eat from outside. Like I would die. Back in the day, if they gave me the choice, I would be eating outside food every day, all day.
I was eating that shit all day, every day almost.
That's crazy.
Especially in the summer, but then in the summertime, if we was outside all day, you be playing so much that you forget to fucking eat. But it's like sometimes I think about it because like our kids, I think nobody's kids will grow up like that no more.
Again. You think so? Maybe less of them. I think there's just more knowledge now. Even for the people that are still in the hood, I believe that because of the internet and YouTube and all these apps, a lot of people are a lot more knowledgeable of what is healthy and what isn't.
No, I mean like in the fact of like growing up and just like playing all day and
outside.
Yeah, because even if you teach your children and keep them off social media, they're going to have friends around them that their parents is probably not going to be teaching them the same thing. So they're going to be surrounded by it anyway. For us, it was like nobody had phones. It was just like bro, meet me here at this time, and this is the time that we leave into the pool. It wasn't like, call me. We have a house phone.
Wow.
And at that point, if you're young, you're probably like, what the hell are these people talking about? But you have to call like after 7 o'clock, because if not, it wasn't free.
Oh yeah.
And if you was in the house phones, it was like incoming calls were free, right? But outgoing calls wasn't.
I don't remember that, but I do remember the cell phones. It was like,
call me after 7.
After 7, the minutes were free. Before then, you were running up your minutes. So we would pay. Let's say people had different plans. So I paid for, I don't remember anymore, 100, 200 minutes. And if that was up, they would charge me extra for like every minute I would go over.
Or you had the reboot card. Remember, it was like $20, $25 to reboot your minutes. That was on the Nexo, I think it was, or the BlackBerry.
Yeah, I never did that. But yeah, it was like after 7. My baby was calling me after 7.
Yeah, you'll be talking to like 3, 4 in the morning. Marisela will be coming in the room. Jessica, tú estás durmiendo. And I'll just hear it, and Jessica's like quiet.
I put my phone underneath the pillow, like make pretend I was sleeping sometimes.
I'm going to tell her that, watch.
Oh my God. I've told her before. Oh. I have now. What you going to do now?
Spank you.
But it's so funny. Those days they were good days.
Do you, I feel like I wouldn't say regret it, but I feel like it's good to go through it.
Yeah, I feel like it's good
obviously it's not go to be like struggling, but.
Right. But it gives you perspective.
Yeah.
And so if you do end up moving on and having a better life, and you have perspective, and wherever you go, hopefully you don't forget where you come from, and that will give you I believe, for me, it keeps me humble, because I know
you have to be a good person.
Yes, and I know the struggle, I know what people go through. And you just have to be kind and nice to people, because you just don't know where they come from, what they're going through in their day. And it also gives me perspective to respect them, because there's people who, because you come from a place like that, they'll look at you differently.
Yeah. Or
they think that you aren't worth, them treating you right, because they see you as garbage. Yeah. And, it's wrong, of course. And because we've been through that, and we've lived there, and we've been surrounded by these type of people, and these people, once babysat us, or, just took care of us, because people in the block, a lot of the times they look out for each other.
Yeah.
You learn that they're people just like us, just that for one reason or another, that's where they ended up. And it's not always their fault.
And it's not easy to get out. So
yeah.
If you don't have not necessarily a blueprint, but you have to have a lot of things.
You have to ambition. Have a lot of guidance and the desire to want to live differently.
Yeah.
Because if you become complacent and you just become used to your environment, and you just say, well, this is what God gave me, this is what my life is supposed to be like, and you're always going to stay there.
And the thing is that the government makes it easier for you to stay there.
Yeah.
It's easier for you to stay in the hood than to go to a nice place, obviously. But what I mean is that you get all the benefits in the world.
Right.
They pay your rent. They send you food stamps. You need insurance. They give it to you. So it's a lot of people, I know this happens to, they're just whatever, I'll just live off of this.
Yeah, why would I strive to be better if they're going to give it to me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I believe, or I want to believe, I'm not really sure, but I believe that those programs were created to actually help the people in need, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely great. But it ended up being crutches for people, It ended up being something, actually more than crutches. Crutches are temporary. Yeah. You use them, you heal, and you move on. And sometimes what happens with people is they become so reliant on these things that they forget that they can do more on their own. they forget their potential.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad. I'm not against those programs because I do believe that at some point in time, all of us, it could happen to anybody. Yeah. We could be in a situation where we could need assistance at any point in time. But then again, you have people who abuse the system. You have people who just, again, become complacent and it's like they're in this vicious cycle that they're never going to get out of because they just choose to sit back and not do what they have to do to.
It's easier
to get out. Yeah. And
a lot of people too believe that it's not attainable.
Right.
Like it's not possible.
Yeah. They just get into this mentality of, like Dave Ramsey likes to say, the little man can't get ahead, and that's sad. And
it's also like a risk too, because technically in order for you to get better, you have to give that up. Because as soon as you start making money, the way it's set up is that obviously you don't need this because you're making more money. So to them, it's like, oh, what if it doesn't go well? Now I'm not making much, blah, blah, blah. But
to each their own. It's something that you can't really, you can preach about it all you want. But if a person isn't willing to listen, isn't willing to change, it doesn't see anything wrong with the way they live, then there's not really much you can do.
Yeah.
Like and that person needs to want it.
Yeah, and use it, like don't feel like all embarrassed to use, what they offer. Like if you need it, just use it. But just try not to stay dependent on it, because if you do it for so long, it's just going to become a habit of like, oh, I get this amount of much this day of the month. Like I can count on this.
Yeah. And you kind of, in a way, you kind of become a slave to the system, even if you don't think you are.
Yeah.
You become just a statistic, and it's not a good place to be, Again, anybody can go through like a hard time and may need assistance, and that's fine. But when it limits your potential, when it limits who you believe you can become, then it's not so much of a help as it is a curse.
Yeah. And have some faith in yourself. Like if you feel like you want to do something, chances are you can do it. It's not going to be easy. You guys might see like, oh, we got this, whatever, but we don't come from much.
At all. Like, at all.
I come from broken families, like literally broken families. So you can do it.
Yeah, anybody can do it. You just have to want it. You just have to want it. We, like you say, we came from nothing. We come from those things. And we don't want to bash or make anybody feel belittled because, we're not from the hood anymore. Like, no, we come from those things. We know what it is like to be there. But we are always encouraging people to do better for themselves because that's what we want to do, and we know it's possible. The reason why a lot of our parents, because I know a lot of the people that watch, maybe your parents are immigrants as well, they came to this country so that we could have a better life. So what kind of disservice are we doing to them if we decide to just continue the vicious cycle of staying in the system? Like they came here for us to be better. And even if that seems a little tougher than you just receiving help, it's worth it. It's worth it because you get your freedom, you get your independence. You don't have to rely on the government for anything. So anything that gives you freedom, in my opinion, is worth everything.
Yeah, and try not to always blame either, the situation or other people. Sometimes take a step back and like look at yourself and be like, okay, is it actually the system, or is it that I'm just not putting enough effort to make this shit happen?
Right. Or is it my mentality that needs to? Because
there's people, everybody's gone through it at a certain time. We go through it sometimes, that we start complaining about something and then we realize like, no, it's not that. It's us. We're not fucking doing what we have to do.
We just need to be more disciplined.
Yeah. We have this talk like all the time. Like if we find ourselves like complaining about a situation or something, like that's not the fucking problem. We're the problem. So we need to change or look at it in a different way to try to make it work.
I think it's such a toxic, way of living, such a unhelpful way of living when you're constantly trying to point your finger at something. Like it's never you, it's them. Sometimes it is them.
Yeah.
It is. But what are you going to do about it? If whatever that thing isn't willing to change, what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sit there and cry all the time? Like, no, you got to get up and figure out a way. Even if it's going to be harder than for someone else, you have to get up and figure out a way because there is no other way. You either figure it out or you stay stuck. And there are ways to come up. I don't believe in that the little man can get ahead. Yeah. Like, it's all a mentality game.
Especially now.
Yeah. It's all a mentality game. And you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be very strong and very wise about what you believe. Yeah. Because if you believe the wrong message, you will be stuck and you will not get out. So you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in the power of your will, the power of your choices, that you have control over a lot of things. Sure, there's things that maybe you don't have control, but there's so much you have control over that can propel you to where you want to be.
Yeah. That was a good chat. It was good remembering those times.
Yes, absolutely.
To end this segment, this episode, was one of your favorite memories that you hold from the hood that you can say like, wow, that was a good time we had?
Exactly what I mentioned earlier. Like when I lived, there was this building I used to live in, the Grand Concourse, and it was like a small building. I think it had like 4 floors, and everybody in the building knew each other. Almost everybody in the building knew each other, and we were like a family in there. And we would go over each other's houses. Everybody had kids, and we would visit each other. And in the summertime, we would go outside. We would buy water balloons. We had water guns. We would take out the hose from outside the window. And we just had a good old time just playing tag and just being kids in front of the building. While our parents or somebody was either watching from the window or was downstairs with us. And I just loved that memory because we were being kids. We were just playing around, running around, and having a good old time. That memory always stays with me.
Dope.
What's yours?
The schoolyard, the infamous schoolyard. That's not there no more. They built the school in the yard of the school to extend it because obviously.
So just playing around in the
every summer it was lit. Softball, handball, plaquita, stickball.
Plaquita?
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is, but okay.
It's a Dominican game. Vitilla, you know what vitilla is? Mm-hmm. No? That's like when you take it. It's like baseball, but with the caps of those big, I think they're like 5 or 10 gallon water bottles. The big ones that you kind of put upside down in those machines. You know that they come with like a plastic. Mm-hmm. So those, you use them to play baseball, but you use it with a broomstick. So it's even harder. That's from DR. We used to play here. So every summer, it felt like this summer is going to be like a softball. But I don't know. Sponge ball. Spanking everybody. I don't know which one of my friends is watching this, but I probably spanked all of you.
All right. That's cool. All right. So this was a good chat. That's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for listening. For those of you who are listening, for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comments down below. We would like to know if you grew up in a hood. What was it like for you? And if you like this video.
And let us know what was your favorite memory. Even if you didn't grow up in the hood, if you grew up, wherever you grew up, like what's your favorite memory from that place growing up?
Okay. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And that's it for today's video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.
Peace.